Let's talk about the E6B flight computer. I'm going to give you kind of a brief overview of the flight computer, and then subsequent lessons will dive kind of deep into the nuances and how to perform all the calculations. Okay. The calculator side of the E6B flight computer consists of rotating circular side and a fixed outer scale. These scales work together to allow you to perform various calculations. Here are the main components of how they're used. The outer fixed scale. This scale is usually marked with numbers representing distance, time, or ground speed. The outer scale is stationary and is typically labeled from 1 to 100, representing a range of possible values. The inner rotating scale, this scale rotates around and is used in conjunction with the outer scale to perform calculations. It's usually labeled with numbers representing minutes or hours. This scale is marked from 10 to 60, representing minutes or factors of time. The index marks are 10 and 60. These are the starting points for many calculations. For example, setting the index to 60 on the outer scale allows you to calculate rate-based problems like speed and fuel consumption. Some E6B computers have dual index marks, one at 10 and one at 60. Which can help in different types of calculations. There's distance, time, and speed, or DTS calculations. Speed, for example, to calculate speed in knots, align the time on the inner scale with the distance on the outer scale. For example, if you're trying to calculate how far you've traveled in a certain speed, set the speed in the inner and look at the outer for the time and the distance. If you know the speed and time, you can find the distance by setting the speed under the index and finding the distance opposite the time on the inner scale. If you know the speed and distance, you can find the time by setting the distance under the speed index and reading the time off the inner scale. There's also fuel consumption, like fuel burn rate. To calculate fuel consumption, set your known fuel burn rate, example like gallons per hour, on the outer scale, opposite the time on the inner scale, then read the total fuel consumption opposite the total time on the inner scale. Or total fuel used. We'll go over all of this in subsequent lessons. There's even like conversions from nautical miles to statute miles. Many of them have these markings either here or sometimes they're over here on the side. You can also do temperature conversions. Down here at the bottom, there's going to be a Fahrenheit to Celsius. There's weight and volume conversions. Some will have like true airspeed and density altitude conversions. Again, we'll go over all of this in subsequent lessons. Wind corrections, for example, typically on the wind side. By understanding how these markings and their functions work together, you can efficiently use the calculator side of the E6B computer to solve many of the in-flight calculations needed for safe and efficient flight. If you're ready to get serious about learning how to fly helicopters, head over to 3gheliprep.com. It's like these videos, but way more structured and a lot closer to making you a real pilot. You won't regret it, unless you hate helicopters, in which case I'm not sure why you're even still watching this.